Hello girls, gays, and non-binary babes. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am so excited to bring you my April wrap-up. So I read 10 books this month. I'm very excited about it and I'm excited to talk about them. So we're just gonna jump right on into it. But first, we have a message from our partners. So I am once again partnering with Ana Luisa this month for their Mother's Day campaign, and if you didn't already know, I have been partnering with Ana Luisa for quite a while now and I absolutely love their jewelry. Mother's Day is a huge day of the year, one of the biggest if you'd ask my mom, but I am here today to share with you some unique ideas for your Mother's Day gifts this year. I think jewelry is a classic take on a gift for Mother's Day, and with Ana Luisa you can really make it special. And this year we are celebrating all the moms who do everything and do it without breaks. So obviously if she's doing all that, then she needs some jewelry to match, to do it all and take no breaks. These are just some of my favorite pieces that I have collected over the past year and I absolutely adore them. They truly stand the test of time. You can wear them every day. You don't have to worry about taking them on and off again and wearing them in the shower or what have you. You can wear them all day, every day. It is one less thing for your mom to think about, and whether she is an empty nester like my mom or if she's still in the thick of it, I think either way she will appreciate it nonetheless. I think this key thing with Ana Luisa though is how trendy everything is, and I know that my mom personally is very interested in being on trend and she just loves that. So if your mom is like mine, then she will absolutely love anything from Ana Luisa. So yeah, thank you once again to Ana Luisa for partnering with me for this video. Love them so much. Thank you so much. And now we will get back into the video. So back to our regularly scheduled content. The first book that I read in the month of April was a reread, and that was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I really liked this. I think this is my third reread, well, my second full reread. I read an arc of it, DNF'd it, and then when it came out I read it fully and I liked it. And then now I read it again because I never read Hellbent when it came out. So I needed to reread this to read Hellbent, which we will get to in a second. But I really like this book. Everybody and their mother knows about this book, so I'm not going to spend too long on it. If you don't know what this is about about a kind of secret society taking place at the Yale college campus. And our main character, Alex, is at the center of it, or she's like a new recruit of one of these societies, and she can see dead people. So that's super cool. Love it. It is kind of dark academia with a little bit of magic involved. Some demon underworld stuff going on as well. Absolutely love it. If you hear sighing in the background, my dog is being dramatic in her chair. So yeah, that's what that is. But yeah, really like this. Gave it 5 stars on my reread, and I don't know, it's just a really fun world to dive into again, so really liked it. And subsequently we also read Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. This is the sequel. I believe there are only going to be 2 books in the series, the duology, so the sequel and also the conclusion. I rated this one 4.5 stars, and I think upon rereading it, just like with Ninth House, I would like it a lot more. For some reason with these 2 books, the first read is always a little bit too much for me, so I don't always like them as much as I could. So I did give this one 4.5 stars. I feel like I just liked the first one better generally, so I couldn't really give this a 5 stars. Does that make sense? But yeah, like I said, this is the follow-up to Ninth House and all the shenanigans that happened in that. I will not really tell you what this is about because it is a spoiler for ninth house. But I will say that I really liked this one. Even though I didn't like it as much as ninth house, I did really like it nonetheless. And I think it was a really great conclusion. It was very epic and grand, and I really liked that about it. So yeah, really liked this one. If you haven't gotten around to it yet, like I have, or I had, then I would really suggest picking it up. Definitely refresh yourself in ninth house first, but definitely worth the read, and I am regretting putting it off for so long. Okay, next we went on a bit of a Greek mythology binge. So that's what the next few books are going to be. The next book is Queens of Themyscira by Hannah Lynn. I got a bunch of arcs of Hannah Lynn's and I loved them very much. This was the first one I read because it is about the Amazon women and their kind of story, mostly the story of Hippolyte, I believe is how you say her name. Correct me if I'm wrong. I really liked this one. I loved how it felt a little different than the rest of the Greek myths that I'm used to. And if you know the story of the queen of, or one of the queens of Themyscira, then you kind of know how this is going to go down, but it follows her and I believe Perseus? Yeah, I think that's who she gets into it with. There's so many ES's. There's Perseus, Theseus, Zeus. They're all horrible, so I get them mixed up. But anyway, it follows the Amazons, and I really liked this one. I gave it 5 stars, and if you're looking for a really good Greek myth story, then I would suggest this one. It's also very, it's not a good read, like it's not a positive retelling or a negative retelling. It just kind of is, and I really liked that about it. So yeah. And the next book I read, it is The Shadow of Perseus by Claire Haywood. This one I gave 4 stars. Okay, so I was going to go on like a whole Claire Haywood binge because I know she writes a lot of Greek myth retellings. However, what I did not know is that her retellings are based more in reality, if that makes sense. So a lot of the magic and storytelling that comes in these stories, she turns it into something more of like how it could have been in real life, which is fascinating, and I do really like that idea. It's just not my thing. I like the magic and I like the mythicalness of the whole thing. So yeah, this one in particular was the story of Medusa and Perseus, essentially, and their relationship and how they interacted. So yeah, in this story, Medusa is not a woman with a head of snakes. She is just a girl who I think likes snakes or something like that. There's some snakes. She is declared a monster, stuff like that, but it's all very non-mythical, if that makes sense. So I do like the idea, it's just not my jam. So if you are interested in something like that, I would recommend her books, but yeah, just not my thing. So I give it 4 stars rather than 5. So the next book that I read, I've been waiting to read for so long and get a copy of, but that is When the Reckoning Comes by Latanya McQueen. This is not really what I was expecting it to be. I don't know why I was expecting it to be very, it was very gothic, but it also just felt, I don't know. I'll explain. This is a story about a woman whose childhood best friend invites her to her wedding, and it is taking place on a plantation in the South, and there's a lot of personal history with this plantation, a lot of things that happened, and this group of 3 friends who ended up not being friends anymore after this event that took place at this plantation. The main character is black, obviously. There's 2 black friends and a white friend in the group. The white friend is getting married at the plantation, obviously. So I gave this one 4 stars. And I really liked it. I liked the ghost gothic aspect of it, and I really liked the southern atmosphere. It felt very humid and like lots of gnats. I feel like I felt around me reading it. Okay, so this is where I feel like I have to tread lightly. So I want to explain this how I mean it. So I prefer, me personally, I prefer a book that that doesn't like hold your hand through it, if that makes sense. I like a book that leaves things, one, up for interpretation, but also like lets you use your own brain to come to the same conclusion, essentially. That's my personal take. I just personally don't like when books are like, X happened and X is bad, you know? That's not exactly what happened in this book, but I don't know. It felt very hand-holdy. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. That's the one thing I did not like about it, so I feel like it was worth mentioning. And I hope I explained that the way that I meant to. So yeah, I guess we'll find out. But I really liked this. I would highly recommend it. Even if you also don't really like hand-holdy stuff, as long as you know going into it, I feel like you'll still like it. And yeah, lots of ghosts, lots of gore, and lots of historical value. Next up, I don't have a copy of this book, but I feel like I don't need one. I'll throw up a picture anyway. Next I read The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe, and this was in preparation for something we'll get to in a second. You might already know, but this is a short story from Edgar Allan Poe that follows the fall of the House of Usher, believe it or not. And it has a lot of very strange and almost mystical aspects to it, and it leaves a lot to be answered. It leaves a lot of questions and leaves a lot up for interpretation. I really love this story. I must say, I gave it 4.5 stars. I think there was just a little zhuzh that I was missing, but I do like the kind of open-endedness of it and how it lets you make up your own story about what happened. This is about a brother and his twin sister who are living, they are the last living ushers, and they are very sick, they're dying, and the brother calls upon an old friend to come and visit, and then just things start going downhill really fast. So yeah, if you haven't read this yet, or seen the show, I guess now, I would highly recommend it. It is fantastic. But yeah, nonetheless, I give it 4.5 stars, and I really enjoyed it. And the book I read that was in preparation, or that The Fall of the House of Usher was in preparation for the next book, which is, as you might have guessed, What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. This book, y'all, I gave this 5 stars. I'm a sucker for T. Kingfisher, what can I say? But I freaking love this story. I freaking love it. This is a retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher, if you didn't know, and it features mushrooms and zombie bunnies and maybe zombie people, who knows, and just weird gothic creepy vibes, but also kind of an atmosphere and a setting that is almost fantasy-like, and it's so much fun. It's so fun. I cannot even begin to explain it. So yeah, 5 stars, loved it. And then I read this one in preparation for the next book, which I don't have a copy of, What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher, which is the sequel / companion to What Moves the Dead. This one follows the same characters, the same soldier, and they are in a different town. I don't know if the myth that is talked about in here is an actual myth or if it's just made up, but it is very fascinating. It reminded me of Strange the Dreamer, actually. It's a myth that there's this kind of ghost-like thing that comes to you at night in the form of a moth, and it haunts your nightmares, and it's like sits on your chest and it can suffocate you to death. Very fascinating. But we kind of get to take down that creature. Very cool. I loved this. I did give it 4.5 stars just because, again, I just did not love it as much as What Moves the Dead. So I couldn't quite give it the 5 stars, but I do think it was really, really good, and I would highly recommend it, especially if you have already read What Moves the Dead. And the final book that I read in the month of April. If you know me in real life, turn the video off now. Please, just turn it off now. I read Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Why? Because I'm a curious person, and I'm very fascinated with the idea of a book like this becoming very, very mainstream. I'm not saying it's bad, I'm not saying it's good, I'm just saying it's very interesting to me. If you didn't know what this is about, this is a romance, a fantasy romance between a vampire and a werewolf. And things happen. Yeah, so first of all, I think we need to talk about smutty books, because when we're getting like 1 or 2 sex scenes, does that count as smut? I feel like it doesn't. But does it? Am I crazy? I'm not a big smut reader, so I'm not a good one to answer. If somebody could tell me down below, that'd be great. This just felt more like a romance with like a couple sex scenes. So yeah, I gave this 4 stars. I liked it. I'm not gonna lie. I did dock a star because in the beginning, like the first couple chapters felt a little bit like, I won't say AI generated, but like, I haven't read a lot of smut, but I do watch a lot of book talk, or like, I hear a lot about book talk. So I know kind of the tropes and the general ideas. It felt very, like, it felt very AI generated werewolf vampire romance. Just for the first few chapters. Then it really got into its own thing and I really liked it, but that was my one complaint. So yeah, I liked this. It's interesting where the smut community is going, the romance community is going. Just a thought, because one, I had to wait months for this book at my library. There was a wait list for the werewolf porn. So, can I say that word on YouTube? I don't know. For the werewolf smut, there was a wait list for it, and I just think that's interesting. So, yeah, I liked it. Not gonna say I didn't. I just like Ali Hazelwood in general, so sue me. But yeah, very intriguing. And I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you once again to Ana Luisa for partnering with me once again for this video. And thank you to you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Please feel free to share some of your April reads down below, or tell me if you enjoyed any of the same ones. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.